watching The Times of India. I'm Neha Khanna. Show me one photograph or image where you can see any damage to an Indian structure, even a broken glass pane. That's what India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval said on Friday as he hit out at the foreign media over its coverage of Operation Sindoor. While addressing a convocation at IIT Madras, Doval said, and I quote, "There was a mention of Operation Sindoor here. We are really proud of how much of indigenous content was used. We decided to go after 9 terrorist targets crisscrossing Pakistan, not in the border areas. We missed none. We hit nowhere else except the terrorist targets. It was precise to the point where we knew who was where. The entire operation took exactly 23 minutes. The National Security Advisor challenged the foreign media to show any visuals of any destruction caused by Pakistan in India. He said, the foreign press said Pakistan did this and did that. You show me one photograph, one image which shows any damage to any Indian structure, even a glass pane having been broken. They wrote these things. The New York Times, for instance. The images only showed 13 air bases in Pakistan before and after the 10th of May, whether it was in Sargodha, Rahim Yar Khan or Chaklala. I'm only telling you what the foreign media put out on the basis of images. We are capable of causing damage to Pakistani air bases.
Thereafter, a lot of things are said that this thing, foreign press and all these things, they said Pakistan did that and this. You tell me one photograph, one imagery. These days, these imageries are from the satellites all over the world. They are this thing, which shows any Indian damage being done, even a glass pane having been broken. I don't know, only our forces will be knowing what's happening in this thing, but I am just telling, they brought out photographs, they wrote this thing, the New York Times put out very this thing. Only imagery, they said 13 air bases of Pakistan now and now, before 10th May and after 10th May. Whether it was in Sargodha or it was in Rahim Yar Khan or it was in Chaklala or it was in Rawalpindi, any of the places that there are 13 important air bases, including the Bellary where they have got the AVACS, the avoidance control systems. Now, I'm not telling any of this thing. I'm only telling what the foreign media, on the basis of the imageries, have put the images in it. So we're very able to achieve it. We are capable of doing that.
Doval clearly suggesting that while India had the capability to inflict serious damage, the operation was targeted and carried out with surgical precision. Essentially, India's National Security Advisor questioned the credibility of international media's coverage and asked why no evidence of damage in India was ever shown by them, despite widespread claims made by multiple media outlets that Pakistan had retaliated successfully against India. Doval obviously has a point. While a myriad claims have been made by Pakistan, and even many in the foreign media, about Pakistan's so-called success in striking back at India, the available satellite imagery paints a completely different picture. Doval went on to hail the success and precision of Operation Sindoor, describing it as a series of technologically advanced precision strikes targeting terrorist infrastructure deep inside Pakistan, carried out with indigenously developed weapons and defense systems such as the BrahMos missile and the integrated air command system. Remember, India launched Operation Sindoor in the early hours of the 7th of May, when our defense forces hit 9 terror camps inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, killing dozens of terrorists. The operation was India's direct military response to the horrific terror attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir on the 22nd of April that killed 26 people, mostly tourists. Many of those killed were young people on their honeymoon. The cowardly assault on innocent civilians sparked enormous outrage across India and a clamour for retribution and justice. What followed, starting the 7th of May, was the closest thing that India and Pakistan have seen to a war since the Kargil conflict of 1999. In fact, many have drawn parallels between Operation Sindoor and the 1971 India-Pakistan war. Why? Because Operation Sindoor involved India's first tri-service mission against Pakistan since the 1971 war that culminated in the creation of Bangladesh. What we witnessed during Operation Sindoor was a 100-hour military conflict, with the two sides launching endless waves of strikes and counter-strikes with missiles, long-range weapons and drones. While India's attacks were firmly and solely targeted at terror infrastructure to begin with, Pakistan retaliated with attacks on India's military bases and even civilian centres. India's military decimated camps associated with the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Taiba, two of the most notorious anti-India terrorist organizations that have repeatedly targeted India and killed scores of people over the decades. It was only on the evening of the 10th of May that the two sides reached an understanding on halting the military action and agreed to a ceasefire. That US President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed credit for that ceasefire is a whole other story. What Operation Sindoor did was to mark a strategic shift in India's response to terrorism, combining surgical precision, tri-service coordination, and powerful messaging. The message was unmistakable. India now has a new doctrine on fighting terrorism. Any future acts of terror perpetrated by Pakistan will be met with a strong and decisive military response. No distinction will be made any longer between state and non-state actors. For weeks now, we've seen a battle of narratives furiously play out in the Indian press, the Pakistani press, and the foreign press, and of course on the social media, over who had the upper hand during Operation Sindoor. As missiles were flying thick and fast, so was disinformation that flooded social media platforms with fake videos, misleading narratives, fraudulent claims, and outright lies being served up as the gospel truth by the other side. While some incorrect claims were made by users on the Indian social media and news channels too, it is the Pakistani side that turned propagation of fake news into a fine art. They repeatedly claimed that the Pakistani military had downed 5 Indian fighter jets and dealt crippling blows to India's air power and inflicted major damage on India's military bases, without ever offering a single shred of concrete evidence. In many cases, foreign media outlets in the United States and Europe, for some inexplicable reason, played along, amplifying Pakistan's brazenly false and misleading narrative. Again, no credible evidence was ever furnished to substantiate those news reports. It's not without reason that National Security Advisor Ajit Doval specifically called out the New York Times for its coverage. The American newspaper reported India's airstrikes as a proclaimed victory in the name of vengeance. It then claimed there was growing evidence that Indian forces may have taken heavy losses. In fact, the New York Times reported Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's totally unverified claim of 5 downed Indian fighter jets. Who their sources were remains unclear even today. While spread of misinformation in the fog of war is not unexpected, what we saw during and after Operation Sindoor took the battle of narratives to an unprecedented and dangerous realm. No wonder then that India's National Security Advisor felt the need to call a spade a spade.